Ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to the channel. Doing fine. I'm going to like today's video. And in case you for the first time, feel well, most welcome. Today, I want us to talk about regional voting blocks. The communities in Kenya, how they tend to vote ahead of 2027. Remember that Kenyans communities tend to vote as a block. And I want us to look into which regions are likely to determine the outcome of the 2027 general election, following the way they've been voting and following what's happening on the ground today and the opinion polls I've been sharing through this platform and the way people are expressing themselves. But before I do so, if you're watching for the first time, always subscribe, like this video, and you can also drop a comment in the comment section about this analysis. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in Kenya we have 10 communities or regions when they're divided, or communities that determine the outcome of an election in any election that we have had. Now, in these 10 communities, we have the 5 big communities, and then we have the other 5 communities. Now, the 5 big communities is one of them is the largest is the Mount Kenya region community. That is very voter rich, that produces about 33% to 35% of the total valid votes in a series of elections. So the biggest region is the Mount Kenya region. Then the second biggest region is the Western region. Western region is also one of the regions that has a very huge voter popularity. Then we have the Luo and the Kalenjin and the Luo regions coming third and fourth. Then we have the fifth region, the campus closing in the top 5 as the fifth most popular. Then the other 5, we have the Kisis who are leading in the other 5. Now that's number 6, Kisis lead. Then we have the Mijikenda, we have the Somalia, we have the Turkana in that sequence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in these top 5 voting blocks or voting communities, there are communities that vote as a block. These are communities when they decide that they're going to support candidate B, they'll vote as a block. Now, the first one is the Mount Kenya region. For a series of elections, we saw what happened in 2022 general election. Even when the sitting president was supporting Raila Odinga, they insisted on supporting a candidate of their choice who was President Ruto by then. Now, Mount Kenya region is highly likely to vote as a block. What about the Western region? The Western region is a region that has been considered not to be voting as a block. A lot of candidates are likely to get almost equal number of votes if they campaign well. And this one has been shown by very many elections we have seen before. Anybody in 2022, for instance, Raila Odinga got votes from the Western region. President Ruto also got a significant number of votes from the Western region. Now, the third region is the Kalenjin region. Kalenjin region will always vote as a block. In the previous elections, they are likely to support a single candidate as a community, and most of them will express their opinion in that direction. Then we have the Nyanza region. Now that's the Luo. The Nyanza region has been voting as a block, including the Kisii counterparts who form part of the Nyanza region, and they have been voting as a part of the Luo region until this election of 2027, where things are likely to change because Kisii, as we speak today, has their own presidential candidate, who is Fred Okengo Matiang'i. Now, the campus vote as a block. Ladies and gentlemen, now, the alignment of these communities is what is going to determine the outcome of the 2027 presidency. Number one, if the Mount Kenya region is going to remain constant, if they are going to vote as a block like they have done or like they did in 2022, then it only means that they only need 20% of the other communities to get to 50+1 and produce a presidential candidate, because that's the requirement of an election. Now, if they put that 1% of their vote, if they put that 1% of their votes in one basket, they only need 20% to produce a presidential candidate, because 50+1 will be almost achieved. Now, as we see the formations right today, if the Mount Kenya regions will speak in one voice in 2027, then maybe they have the campus on board who form about 12%. Then they will be at about 43 or 40 thereabout. They only need 10% of the other Kenyan voting bloc to get to 50%. And that's why the Mount Kenya region, if it's going to be united in 2027, it's going to be very difficult to win against a united Mount Kenya region. Remember that Raila Odinga has tried almost in 2022, tried to beat the united Mount Kenya region. And remember that Raila has always done this by uniting the entire nation. And this is what was Raila Odinga uniting the entire nation against that region. You ensure that you have the lawyers on board giving you a majority, the campus on board, you have the entire Nyans on board, and you have the other parts or the other small communities entirely supporting your presidential bid. Now, if the Mount Kenya region is going to remain united in 2027, and then you are going to bring in the eastern part of it, those are the campus, then you are going to bring in the Kisii. Now, that entirely means that the Nyanza voting bloc will not be voting as one. They'll be divided, they'll be minusing the vote of the Kisii, which is almost a million votes. Because in 2022, the Kisii vote was about 600,000 votes. But with the motivation of Fred Okengo Matiang'i, that voting bloc is likely to go to a million votes come 2027. So the Nyanza's voting bloc is not stable. And that's why you've seen a lot of things happening in Kisii, people coming from Kisii, going to Nairobi, leaders doing empowerments, several empowerments in Kisii region, just to ensure that they try to return the Nyanza voting bloc intact, which is very difficult because the Kisii regions is likely to give Fred Okengo Matiang'i most of its votes. Now, what about Western region? Western region, I say that is a region that in previous election has been dividing its votes. Anybody who goes to Western region has been getting votes. Will it be the same case in 2027? Now, if it's going to be the same case in 2027, then the Western region is not going to be very much key in determining who is going to be the next presidential candidate, because anybody will be getting votes from that region. The opposition will get votes. Raila Odinga, if he's going to support Ruto, they're also going to get votes from the same region. Then which are the key regions that are going to determine the outcome of that election? So the first region is the Mount Kenya region. Then we have the Eastern region. Then we have the Rift Valley region. You can realize that we are leaving two regions outside. That's the Nyanza region and the Western region. The reason why Nyanza region is being subtracted from that determining factor is that Nyanza, as I said, has lost the Kisii part of it because of the Fred Okengo Matiang'i factor. The Western region, as we've seen in previous election, has not been forming or been voting in unison. So that only means that the Mount Kenya region and any other region that will unite will produce a presidential candidate. And that's, if you're going to put Mount Kenya region and Eastern region together, then it means that that's a very huge voting bloc to win against, and especially that they're now going to get other support from other even small communities, including the Kisii, that is likely to support the opposition if Fred Okengo Matiang'i will be on board, and including other small communities. So according to 2022 general election, if you saw what happened in 2022, the Mount Kenya region supported President Ruto by about 3.5 million. They gave Raila Odinga about 1 million votes. That was about 4.5 million votes. It said that voting bloc, if you put the Mount Kenya region together and its votes that are outside, because we have people of Mount Kenya regions who stay in other parts of the country, the voting bloc is likely to go to 6 million votes. If you're going to add the campus, that's the eastern part of it, which is about 2 million votes, then you're about 8 million votes. That's those two regions. It's going to be very difficult to win against these two regions if they are going to unite and produce a single presidential candidate in 2027, even if you try to divide that voting bloc. Now, what's likely to happen in 2027? Should the opposition remain united, it's practically impossible for them to lose an election because of the voting blocks I've explained. And the only way the opposition can lose that election is dividing the huge voting bloc of the Mount Kenya region and ensuring that the other candidates doesn't get part of the Kisii voting bloc. As I said, you can tell me what you think in the comment section about that analysis. I'll take my time to read and give a response. Do you think that the three regions are the ones that are going to determine the outcome of that election? That's the Mount Kenya region, the campus, and the Rift Valley region. Because I've said the Nyanza region is no longer dominant because of the fact that they've lost the Kisii counterpart, and the Western region is likely to give votes to either factions of the domain count 2027. Other thank you for watching. Drop a comment in the comment section, and if you're watching for the first time, subscribe, like this video, and if politics what you like, this way I should be. Thank you very much for always supporting this channel. Let's have a nice day and meet next time.